on our website, I believe, live as well as on a webcast. And now I'll give the floor to Florent Guhl, who is head of the Agence Bio. Thank you. And I would like to thank you all for being here. I should like to thank the speakers who have, some of whom have come from a long way, from far afield, including the United States. And so we're very, very grateful to have this session looking at the new momentum of organic farming in Europe and around the world. And it is for us to consider the way in which consumers are now taking a new position, because, of course, consumers make it all happen. And we can see the reasons why consumers decide to go for organic products and what it is we can do to speed up that momentum and meet the expectations, as well as answer the questions of consumers about the advantages of organic production. Of course, amongst us, we are, as it were, preaching to the choir, but it is also for us to educate the general public. A few words about the European and indeed international markets, because that will be the starting point of our discussions today. Now then, here we have a map on the screen, a few items of international concern. And by the way, I should like to thank Sarah Le Douarin for her hard work. It is thanks to her work that we can have, we can keep tabs on international developments. And of course, here you have a map showing the development of organic farming around the world. And some of you already have had access to these maps. And so this tells you just where organic farmer is now developing around the world. Some you can see the cultivated land for agricultural, for organic agriculture. I mean, the minister mentioned the development here in France, but of course, what we are keen to see is to what extent this is reaching out to the rest of the world. Now, zooming in on Europe, as part of the Biofar fair in Nuremberg, Germany, we can see the new momentum around Europe. And so here you have a heat map, as it were, looking not just as cultivated areas, the number of farmers, but also the percentage of arable land dedicated to organic farming, even though Stéphane Le Foll said that the numbers are somewhat restrictive in their approach, but nonetheless, numbers do give you an order of magnitude. It gives you an idea of just how much of farming has turned organic, and indeed, the fact that there are farmers deciding to make the move is a significant indication. Now, looking at the other end of the spectrum, that is consumers, and this is the purpose of today's workshop. We're looking at consumers' motivations and market behavior, because that is our chance to understand how these markets work. And you can see that the United States holds a significant market share in organic production. And we can see that many countries in Africa and Asia are also joining, as it were, the movement. Likewise, as I said, Europe and America, we are trying to see how we can give structure to what was at this stage a rather informal form of agriculture. Now you can see that organic farming is becoming more structured. As we said, the United States has pride of place, a number of European countries as well, but China is gaining ground. And at the Salon de l'Agriculture, the agricultural fair, we had a chance to discuss the situation with other countries, see how you can move from production to distribution with a well-structured system, so that consumers can have full confidence, full trust in the system. Now then, looking at that market in the EU, you have a number of countries. Well, France and Germany, needless to say, are well known, and we have the figures right up to date. Other countries are following suit with remarkable growth, but there is a big question mark. While we welcome these positive developments, nonetheless, we do not know to what extent we can give full structure, a formal structure to the supply chain. Indeed, it's not just the logistics of it all. We have to make sure that the system itself is sustainable, so that producers as well as retailers and distributors can work jointly. And this does mean that citizens themselves should be involved. Very often our citizens, our consumers would like to know just how these products are produced and how the whole system works and to what extent they can make a difference. Now, we have numbers. Last week, we published our first estimates for the year. And as Didier Périol and then Stéphane Le Foll pointed out, we are witnessing a 20% growth on the organic food market, at least that is the order of magnitude. Now, retailing in France is is more significant than in other countries because we have health food shops that are developing significantly. Looking at the 20% growth, there is a 25% growth in a number and volume of these retail health food retail stores. And I think a number of speakers will mention this today, but there are direct contacts between producers and consumers using digital tools, bypassing shops altogether. But this is the way to make the best of digital technologies so that tomorrow consumers will have a better knowledge of the ins and outs of organic farming. Not only that, but they will be in a position to purchase their products directly from producers, and this means they will have a direct knowledge of the entire supply chain. Well, now having said all this, I will now hand over to the next speakers.